So I'm coming from Charleston, South Carolina, so I had a 900-mile trip to get to Niagara Falls, Ontario. During the time of Hurricane Ida hitting the U.S.
I think you more or less get the point. I would not advise doing this.
And the guy gets to me and he's like, gonna get warrants out for your arrest or anything? I was like, not yet. I don't know if you like that.
Probably dancing around the a point of mild hypothermia.
All right, everyone, I'm here in Canada, and you might be wondering what it takes to get across the Canadian border right now during a pandemic. Well, there's a few things, and a few of them I already had taken care of. For example, you have to have a passport. This has been a thing for a few years now. So you also need to be vaccinated. You have to have both your doses, and it has to be at least 14 days after your second dose. Third, you have to take a COVID test and show that you're negative within 72 hours before you're crossing the border. So the minute you take that test, you got 72 hours to get it across the border.
So what you doing?
Getting a booger swab. Just show that I'm COVID free.
Why you doing that?
Like go to Canada
And
see Andru and how less free they are over there in Canada land. So in my case, I took the test on Monday morning around 11.
So have you had a COVID test?
I've managed to not have a COVID test this whole time. Caitlyn's done one.
Yes, and it was terrible. Oh man, that fucking sucked. Are you nervous yet? Gotta stick
really.
something up your nose.
I don't know, because I don't feel like it's gonna be as bad if I do it myself, because I feel like I probably won't go as high. I feel like it's gonna be less effective. But maybe they were going too high in the beginning.
You know, in my case, it was going to CVS and like getting the kit and then self-administrating it.
Oh, that one feels a little more fun.
6, 7, 8, 9. There's usually at least one nostril where you really...
I see. My eyes are starting to water.
10, 13,
Ooh.
14.
And dropping it into the drop box.
Go cockpit down into the fluid. Right.
And you're done.
So that felt like not legit. That seemed really weird, didn't it, to you?
I mean,
It was probably much more pleasant than what you had to go through, because it was not that bad.
And then there's an app that you can install on your phone, and it'll notify you when you get your results back, and then you can save it as a PDF to show them at the border. So I'm coming from Charleston, South Carolina, so I had a 900-mile trip to get to Niagara Falls, Ontario. And this also was during the time of Hurricane Ida hitting the US. So by this point, it was rolling through the land and it was no longer a hurricane. But I tried to beat it. I thought I could get ahead of the storm and just go through some of the outskirts of the thunderstorms. And I went smack into it, starting in West Virginia. I guess starting in Virginia, but the bad part of it, starting in West Virginia at like 4 in the morning when it was still dark. So I ended up having a few issues in the traveling aspect of things.
Oh, I don't know if you can tell how much it's raining right now, but it's raining heavy, and I'm fucking cold and wet. Well, here it goes. Nothing. Trying not to drown. Well, this is not ideal. Visibility is very poor. The rain is very heavy now, and the water's found its way in through my waterproof, so I'm pretty wet. That also makes me obviously cold, but I gotta try to push through, because I think I'll get stuck here if I don't.
And I will say the Scrambler 1200 riding through the storm did excellent. The heated grips really were helping out when I was probably suffering from mild hypothermia.
Probably dancing around the a point of mild hypothermia, but actually I have my heated grips on full blast, and man, it really helps. You know, you warm up your hands and that spreads to your wrists, and it helps. It's still cold, but I was my teeth chattering a second ago before my heated grips, were fully warmed up and warming me up. God, it's so fucking bad. I can't see a thing. My visibility is poor. It might be the worst rain I've ever ridden in. It is a tropical storm, so
Shady bananigans, for sure.
I would not advise doing this. Also, my crotch is very wet. The water is coming up my leg really easily now. So, the biggest threat to me right now is I'm falling asleep. So, I need to stop and take a break. I should have got an energy drink and at the place I was stopped at, take a pee and get gas. I can feel my face having a stroke as I'm trying to talk. I'm freaking tired. So sick of this rain.
Well, I had to pull her a few times. I also was falling asleep because I had ridden through the night, so I was pretty tired.
Staying awake right now is half the battle. I was starting to doze off and drift, so a couple of times I was drifting to the other lane or to the shoulder. I caught myself and alright, go around this guy. And little truck though. Well, I mean, if I'm falling asleep, then I gotta get a stop and just get a hotel room and take a nap and do a little work and get back on the road tonight or early tomorrow morning. I'm doing okay, time-wise. Just trying to push through. I think when I get 2 more hours north, I shouldn't be that bad.
And I pushed through the bulk of the storm. It was still raining when I eventually stopped, and I got a hotel for a few hours to sleep and do some work. But yeah, it was some exciting motorcycling, to say the least. Probably the worst storm I've ever ridden through. So fun.
So got everything in here, drying. I stopped at a Super 8 motel, went to hotel, and I'm tired. I was just falling asleep, so I needed to stop, and it's freezing. I'm gonna get some sleep, do some work, and then I'll hit the road early this evening. I can do this, but I'm cold.
All right, so a few hours later, I slept for about 2.5 hours, and then I've been doing some work and stuff like that. So it's almost 5, I think. Maybe it is 5. I don't know. I'm gonna pack up. I gotta do some kind of app thing for crossing the border, apparently. There's an app called the Arrive Can that it only took me about 5 minutes to fill out. You know, I took a little picture of my passport and a little picture of my vaccination card and entered in all my personal information and, I'll sign your life away kind of. Yeah, I agree, I'm not being sick, blah, blah, blah. And so that's another thing that you need to do. I shouldn't encounter any more rain. That was a bit rough, and of course all my stuff's wet. But hey, I went through a tropical storm, so the remnants of a hurricane. Let's get going. I'm only 4.5 hours away, depending on traffic when I go through Pittsburgh, and of course going through the border. All right, I'm getting back on the road. It should just be a few hours, 4.5 hours or so. I just gotta get gas, quick bite to eat. I gotta wear completely different clothes except for my boots, which are wet, but they are what they are. But jacket, all that stuff's on. I'm gonna be wearing a sweatshirt and a jean jacket. I'm glad I brought both. So hopefully it's not too cold, but I think it's gonna be okay. And I don't think we're gonna have any more rain. I mean, the sky behind me, that might tell you otherwise, but no, it's not supposed to rain. Well, eventually I got back on the road and I made my way to Canada.
I don't know if you can see this, but it kind of looks like Vegas.
And so for me, I went to Rainbow Bridge because my friend Andrew said it would be pretty and probably better than the border crossing in Buffalo. All was going well until a border agent asked if I'd ever been arrested. And the guy gets to me and he's like, you know, he's like, got any warrants out for your arrest or anything? I was like, not yet. I don't know if you like that. then he was like, he laughed, but then he was like, I'm gonna need you to pull over to the parking thing. I was like, okay. And I went over there, and then one of those guys, like there's 2 or 3 of those guys, came up to me, and one of them asked me like the same exact questions, like, when's the last time you were in Canada? What, you know, sitting the guy at the gate had asked me. And he said the same thing. He's like, have you ever been like arrested before? I said, not yet. And he was like paused, and I was like, well, like, it's an experience. I'd like to have it one day, just for something worthwhile, like not something stupid.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'm gonna be mad if I punched some douchebag in the face and got arrested for it, and the guy deserved it. He'd be like, all right, arrest me for it. Like, sweet.
So what happened after you said that?
And then took my stuff and went away for a while. And I the guy goes, is there a compartment under the seat? And I'm like, yep. And he goes, is it possible to get to without removing all this stuff? I'm like, nope.
So what did you learn at the border?
I guess they don't like my personality.
If you thought that the border got wrong, jail. If you cross the border without a passport, jail. Believe it or not, if you say hello in French, jail.
The first guy was nice. The other 2 guys, like, I was like, how many other cars did he get sent over here?
And then your answer, I'm sure.
Well, the best part was there's like the 1, the 2, and the 3, and I just went straight for the 1 because I was like, I'm number 1. And then I realized it was the widest spot, and 3 was pretty thin, and I was like, I probably should have taken 3. After checking me out for a few minutes, they let me go on my way, and I rode to my friend's house in Niagara Falls.
Just record me having a little gap. My legs are so sore.
Welcome to
He just
Canada.
told me on that street. He didn't say take this street.
Come on down.
And your border agent's harassed. I'm so unbelievably cramped up.
For the record, it's a tall bike. You should try throwing your leg over it.
Welcome to Canada.
I'm a little energized right now,
That's good.
which is pretty good considering I have like 2 hours of sleep
I can't
in a shitty
believe
hotel room.
it's Super 8. Or no, yeah,
is
Super
Super
8.
8.
Yeah, $69.
Yeah, and the guy when I got in there, because it was like, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock or something like that, he was like, I was like, I got a weird question. I'm like, can I get a room, but like not necessarily for tonight? Like I don't want to pay, like I know check-in time is like 3. I'm like, but I want to check in now. And they probably want to leave by before tonight. And he was like, yeah, I can do that. At first he was like, yeah, I can do that. Alright, cool.
He probably thought you were doing some like hourly rate or something.
I mean, I was soaking wet and wearing a motorcycle helmet, so I think it's pretty
Fair.
obvious what was going on. I will now be hanging out for a week and a half and exploring Toronto and all that stuff and hanging out with this little guy.
So first thoughts on Toronto. It's a city, it's got tall buildings and like cars and like it's a city and like it's full of weird people here.
That's
Like
Toronto.
not weird people like cool like New Orleans, more like Canadians.
That's what it takes to get across the Canadian border right now. Well, thanks for watching. That was Shady Bananigans. Take care and scramble on.
Canada!
Hey everyone, guess where I'm at? I'm in goddamn Canada. You know who's a swell guy? Gary. This is where I put in footage of me going in my nose and blah 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 blah.
I'm sure one of my subscribers is like a nurse or a doctor, right? Or I just make too, my stuff's not high class enough. Not highbrow enough, as they say.
Yeah, probably not. Highbrow.
And this time I wrote it. Hi, my name's Chris.
Oh, I wasn't recording that whole time.
Anyway. I rode a bike across the world because I'm cool. This is my bike. I'm proud of my bike. You should buy this bike too. Why? Because it's so cool. This has been Scrambler Stores with Christopher Vautier. Shady Bananigans.
Okay, I don't actually talk that way. Never many subscribers. Yeah, actually, the time I went to the border on the West Coast.
You chatted for like hours.
Yeah, they were way chill. I never had like, that guy was just like, he said, because I had a Tennessee ID still, do you have any firearms on you? And I was like, no. And he was like, do you have any at home? And I was like, no. And he was like, but you're from Tennessee. And I was like, well, I'm actually from Massachusetts, and it's a lot harder to get a firearm in Massachusetts. I'm like, I'm not anti-firearm, I just have never gotten one before. And I like guitars, and they're expensive. And he was like, oh, okay, just checking. You know, and he was like, and that guy talked to me for like 10 minutes. And
So Ontario border guards, not so much.